Hey everybody, it's your boy Pixcelation, and today we have a very special guest. You may know him as Muscular from My Hero Academia. You may also know him as I know him, as Kumasa from Oshibudo. If my favorite pop idol made it to Budokan, I would die. One of my favorite shows of 2020. Or, if you are a video gamer, you may know him as Claptrap from Borderlands 3. It's Jim Foronda. How are we doing, Jim?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, beyond a little bit of a panic I experienced when I realized that the audio wasn't right, I'm doing okay. So today we're gonna ask Jim a series of questions. Some of them are gonna be serious, some of them are gonna be silly. It's gonna be a fun time, I think. The first one is, once I open up the actual question sheet. I am clearly not prepared as an interviewer. Oh. But, in any case, how are you doing? How's your 2020 been?
My 2020 was crazy. I mean, it's crazy for all of us recording and stuff, because when we were suddenly faced with, you can't go into a studio anymore. So, it was a mad dash to figure out how to record from home. As you can see here, I don't have room in here for a whisper room, so I, with the help of an audio engineer friend from Dallas Audio Post, kind of said, here's what you need. There are plenty of guides online on how to put it together, and so yeah, I've got two bass traps here with Owens Corning 703 fiberglass, which is, it's always fun cutting down fiberglass. Even in long sleeves and pants, you still end up itching for days.
Right.
And just stacks and stacks of moving blankets, kind of like creating the walls for it. And as Kieran Strange, voice of Lorelei, calls it, he calls it a blankie fort. And I can't take credit for that, but yes, this is my blankie fort. Thank you, Kieran.
Well, there you go. Yeah. It's funny how I asked you how your 2020 was going so far. It proves that even though we are 4 months, I guess 3-4 months into 2021, it still feels like 2020. Nothing has changed. We are still in the midst of all of this.
Well, I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I was part of that phase 1B. I was, statistically, it was 1 in 10 chance of COVID death if I caught it. So I basically have been super paranoid safe for a year, and so I had my second Pfizer shot about 6 weeks ago. So on my 2 week, like you have to wait 2 weeks after your second shot until you're until it's fully effective.
Right. I
actually had a live action dub session in a studio, and I had the option of going in or staying at home, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go into the studio. I'll be fully vaccinated. Of course, you stay fully masked up and everything, because in theory you can still carry it. Right. So I did that. And there's a place called Ramen Hakata, very close to the studio, and I thought, I'm going to eat at a restaurant after a year. And I went in, and it was like something, I felt like a child going into a restaurant for the first time, because I, again, masked up, and I asked, and as the staff came up to me, and I said, I kind of backed up, because I'm just used to, even though I was vaccinated, I don't want to be responsible for accidentally giving anything to anybody. So I'm like, where do I go? Do I need to sit somewhere? What do I do? Just you tell me what to do the safest way possible. And everybody was really cool. You order, but you scan a QR code on your phone. You can order on the menu, and you order your food, and they bring it out to you. And it was weirdly emotional, eating that meal.
Right.
Because it was just, we cooked at home, and, we learned how to cook new things, but I can't make a good ramen worth anything. So, and it was really something. It was good. It felt good.
It's funny because I'm relatively healthy. I think the biggest thing that I've got going for me in terms of COVID risk would be I'm overweight. I'm not gonna deny that. And I'm thankful that I am just that, because both my mom and my dad. I think my dad had I know my mom has diabetes, but like I think my dad might have. He's passed 7 years ago, so I can't ask him or anything. But either way, it runs in both sides of my family. So I'm lucky that the overweight thing is the only thing I've got, and that could change at any day. So it's one of those things where I'm trying to do something about it. But that being said, I take COVID very seriously, but I've felt myself in the last 4 months or so loosening up just a little bit, to the fact that I'll go to Denny's every now and then. I wear my mask and I just stay away from everybody else. But I'm like, it's one of those things where it's like I needed just a little bit of wiggle room,
Yeah, I can see.
And then, like, for example, like 2 weeks ago, me and some friends went to a sushi restaurant, and it was one of those things where it's like, it's the closest I've felt to going to a con since all this began. Because there's that
I miss cons. Oh
God,
man.
same. Because right next to the sushi restaurant is a Kinokuniya, a bookstore.
Oh yeah.
And
so is this the Kinokuniya that's right across George Bush from H Mart? Or is this a different Kinokuniya? Oh no, wait, you're in Austin.
Yeah, I'm in Austin.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's the one over by there's like off of 183, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just we went to the Kinokuniya. I got some books. I went to sushi, and I was just like, man, imagine this, but like 10 times busier. That's what a con would be. I'm hoping because I was going to be going to several cons canceled last year, but I was going to be going to Tokyo and Tulsa around this time last year, and I don't know if it's happening yet. I'm sure they'll let me know, but they were basically bumping all of us to the following year, which was like super nice of them to do that. That it was just, you know what, we're just going to do a do-over next year, and I'm hoping I'm fully vaccinated. Right. I'm ready to go. Still going to be masked, but I miss people. I miss seeing people. It was I told folks, I love my wife, but sometimes I want to talk to somebody who's not her, I love that. The real quick, in the chat, we've got somebody. Erica Muse says, "Hey Jim," it says we miss you too. I gotta say, like,
hi Erica. I gotta say, by the way, it's
Oh no, you're by all means, yeah.
She interviewed me at my first con.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're in similar positions. So the one thing, and I haven't even gotten to the first question yet, because we're just on this tangent of like how life is like now, and that's fine. Yeah. I'm perfectly okay with that. I feel like that's the most natural course of conversation. But I guess technically is next month now that it's April 1st. At the end of May, IkiCon is coming back, and I'm like, at first I was like, I don't know about that one, friendo. But then I'm like, okay.
Is it in the same location this year?
No, they were supposed to move to a downtown location in December, and that didn't happen. So they're kind of pushing it forward. And I'm like, why is it in May? I don't know. Probably because of hotel contracts and whatnot. But yeah, but I was like, after what I thought about it for a while, I was like, okay. The vaccine is now open to all adults above 16 years old.
Yeah.
Now, theoretically, I should get me my both doses of my vaccine between now and May 28th, and then I'll let myself go. But I'm not going to let myself go unless I can get it. So I'm kind of like, it's like kind of one of those things where I'm giving myself a little bit of wiggle room, but I'm like, first I have to get fully vaccinated, and then I can allow myself to go to a con again.
There's still time. I think I've had friends that have been able to go to CVS and stuff like that. Even in phase 1B, I signed up. They said sign up everywhere because it wasn't really clear. And luckily, I signed up at Denton County Health, which is where the Texas Motor Speedway site was. It was like the super site, and when I signed up, it said, "Oh, your number is 65,000," and the next week, we got an email. They said, "Oh, we've gone through the first 12,000 people today," and I thought, "Wow, that's a lot."
Yeah,
I should be there in a few weeks. The following week, they said, "Oh, we got through another 21,000 people," and I thought, "Oh, then I should be there maybe in another 2 weeks." Next week, we got a text message saying, "Hey, we're ready to go." They just got more efficient and faster with getting people through every week.
Right.
And I was telling everybody I knew, if you're in phase 1B, sign up for Denton County, because they're fast and effective and efficient. We were in and out in like 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. And did you have any side effects, or?
I mean, same thing that you get, when you get the flu. Your arm is sore. Right. It was much more sore than usual, but I didn't have any really, really bad ones. Just kind of like that where you feel kind of like you got hit by a truck.
Oh yeah.
But actually, that was more for the second shot. Okay. I was super sore after the second one, but it wasn't as bad as what some people have gone through. I think it just people's immune systems are all different. So
I guess the next question I would have to ask in regards to that is, have you gotten any secret correspondence from Bill Gates yet?
No, I'm just happy I can play Forza in my brain.
I love that whole rabbit hole. It's just like you people. Sometimes life is boring, and this is one of those instances where life is not that exciting.
It's just being cooped up for so long, though. I think
it didn't help us at all.
Oh no, yeah, it's weird. For a long time when I would go grocery shopping, they had immunodeficient mornings at Target every Wednesday, an hour before their normal opening time. Every time I'd go in, I instinctively would hold my breath every time I got near somebody, even near meaning 6 feet or more. And I still have a tendency to do that. My brain, my survival mechanism has said, tells me, hold your breath when you're near people. And so, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever stop. Eventually I will, but
honestly, I would like it if we as a country, and I know it's not going to happen, but I would like it if as a country we adopted the idea of masking up outside.
It'd be cool. I mean, it's the first time I ever visited Japan. It was like, when you save up and you save up and you finally go. It was right after the first SARS epidemic hit in Asia, and I remember on the news they were showing people in Japan all masked up, and I think because at the time people really didn't understand that folks over there mask up all the time out of just courtesy. Right. Of if when you have a cold and you're not so under the weather that you can't go to work, but you don't want to make other people sick, you wear a mask and you don't sneeze on folks. And it was such an alien concept to people in the West that they thought that it was all for SARS. So we went over there, and it was just interesting because people were wearing masks, and it's nice. It's a nice thing to do for your fellow human being if you're feeling a little under the weather. Yeah. And
you had a good point when you say that it was even now it was such a foreign concept, for lack of a better term, for the West, because everyone thinks, oh, you're trying to take away my liberties. I'm like, no, I just want you to be safe. It's not that we're asking is you be safe. Like, it literally, there is no downside to wearing a mask. Like, actually, there's one downside, and if you have glasses like I do, and it's absolutely bullshit. But but beyond that, it's like I could deal with it. I don't I can take my glasses off and wipe them if I have to. Like, damn.
I was really excited when there were companies that said you can make a custom mask all your own. Well, you can design it on the website or supply your own artwork. So I did make one Claptrap mask, and
nice.
Just taking the line from 2010, the Arthur C. Clarke movie and book that was played off of in Borderlands 3. My ass, it's full of stars. And it says, my mouth, it's full of stars. And it has Claptrap right there, and a little Claptrap I drew, and I'm so proud of that because it's just fun.
See, that's a game series. I own all 3 of them, and I've only played the first one. Just because I have so many games and not enough time to really play them. I started to, but I didn't get very far. I remember it's not like I didn't like it. I do enjoy the series, but it was one of those things where it's like I have so many games and just enough time to play one of them.
It's my backlog is ridiculous. When Humble Bundle came out with bundles, and it's just get 10 awesome games for charity for just $10 or whatever. My Steam library is stupid.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And Black Friday. Oh, look, I never got around to playing Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation 4. It's only $5. I'll buy that for $5.
Right.
And yeah, and so now my backlog is dumb. It's one of the reasons my backlog is so big that I was lucky to get a PS5. I pre-ordered one like way early. And the external hard drive indexing was not as well streamlined as it is now. It's a little bit faster now, but because I had my PS4 from like day one. I also got a launch PS4, and so everything, all my digital games, all the games that I had installed, I ended up basically putting onto that external. I never deleted anything.
Oh.
Yeah. So there was a sale at Best Buy like the launch week. It was they had a 5 terabyte hard drive for a really good price. It was crazy, and I had like a bunch of like gift cards and stuff that I've been saving for. Anyway, to make a long story short, it took about 4 hours for the PS5 to index my hard drive. That was before they had like the second system update, and it couldn't do anything while it was just reading the hard drive and indexing everything. And I thought there was something wrong. I thought, oh, did I get a lemon? But no, it was fine. It was just day one launch issues. So
okay. I'm gonna have one more note about that, and then we're gonna get to the questions because we're 22 minutes in, and I'm like, we're
talking about COVID.
We're just shooting shit. Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah,
welcome to the video game podcast where we talk about COVID.
I mean, honestly, you could have worse problems with the interview.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, you could have worse. There's worse problems to have with the podcast. But
we're talking about the game Plague Incorporated, which I want to play the DLC where you have to basically cure everybody.
Oh.
I haven't played it yet.
Is that actually a thing?
They did. The people that made Plague Incorporated, which is a fun game. When COVID happened, they kind of thought, wow, those scientists that we talked to make this game were really spot on. So they made I think it's free DLC if memory serves. Don't take my word for it. I have to go back and look. But they made a DLC where the goal is to stop a pandemic, and I think that's pretty cool.
All right, well, I'll have to check that out because I can't remember which one. There's like several variations of that game that I've played, and I can't remember which one I've played. It might have been Plague Inc., but it might have been something else. But regarding the backlog, so I'm not one to brag about things that are not conducive to a workflow, but yeah, as someone who does YouTube videos, in the past I have requested review copies of games.
Mm-hmm.
I have enough review copies of games that I have to get through, that I've had, mind you, since 2017. Because
my gosh!
Because I am flaky as shit, and sometimes I'm like, oh well, I'm not gonna make YouTube videos right now, and so it just keeps the time keeps on slipping into the future.
Gosh.
Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Actually, I'll just count the episodes because basically I have a series that I'm doing where I do indie games, and these are the ones that I'm doing, and I usually have about 3 games per episode. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 full episodes that I have to get through in order for me to clear all of these games, and I'm like, I need a break. Anyway, that being said, so let's jump into the actual questions.
Okay, I apologize for the rambling I've been doing.
No, I've been doing just as much rambling. I'm just as guilty. You're perfectly fine. So I'll start with an easy question, and that is, who is Jim Foronda?
Jim Foronda. I'm half German, half Filipino kid, and I used to write. I used to work in advertising, and in 1997 moved to Dallas. I got my first job. I got laid off after a year. Moved to Dallas. A friend knew that I was a Star Wars fan, and I came to Dallas to be like junior level copywriter working on the Pizza Hut promotion for Star Wars Episode 1. That was when it was like a big Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell Pizza Hut combined thing.
Right.
And that was interesting. That was my first experience with basically signing your life away under non-disclosure agreements, and everything was behind locked doors. And then at that same agency, moved around.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was in 2 different places at the time. So you said you did the voice for those commercials, or?
Oh no.
Oh.
I wrote for
I wrote for him. Okay.
I wrote like Pizza Hut placemats and the little table tents and the coasters.
Okay.
I wrote a whole series of Jedi mind tricks, but were basically like little magic tricks on the coasters.
I was probably
how to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, like stuff that you could do with make a salt shaker disappear. Dinky things you could do in a restaurant at the time. How to make a to force push a straw, and essentially this is stuff that I kind of like ideas I just kind of pulled out of the air. But you unwrap the straw, put it on the table, put out your force hands, and then very secretly blow on the straw, and it'll roll away from you and pretend to push it away. And to a little kid, that's going to be like super cool. But it seemed fun, and they were there was those placemats used to have jokes on them. Where do Gungans keep their peanut butter? In peanut butter jar jars.
Oh my god!
Again, where does Darth Maul go shopping? At the mall. Dumb things. Again, the worse the puns are in children's riddles, the better they are.
I was gonna say, I think I was like 7 years old when that promotion. Because I remember, like, very fondly, I remember that promotion. I think I do, at least. I could just be making things up, but I want to say I remember that. And it was one of the first times I experienced Star Wars, and it was like, all right. And then I went another 7-8 years before I really started watching the movies. But that was that's definitely something that's in the far reaches of my memory. But sorry to cut you off. Continue.
Oh no, So for a while I worked on Pepsi new products. My one advertising claim to fame is that I named the drink Amp.
Really?
Yes. That was actually not my favorite name. Fusion was actually my favorite because it was what I learned. You learn so much stuff. Energy drinks specifically are made to taste medicinal because it gives the consumer the idea that there's something healthy about it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Amp from the makers of Mountain Dew when it came out, and with MDX. What the hell is MDX? But it was the first energy drink that didn't taste weird, right. And it essentially tasted like Mountain Dew with a lot of sugar in it and some other twangy stuff that kind of gave it a weird bite. But they picked another one which was Amp, and so Amp. And then after that, the head of our agency had previously done some work with Hasbro like years ago. He used to tell people, his one claim to fame is that he wrote the Care Bears theme song. So he had an in at Hasbro, and we did like some spec work for them on a G.I. Joe 1/12 scale like Jeep, and they liked the work. They gave us a spin on a Transformers ad, and we eventually ended up landing the entire Hasbro business, and I wrote every Transformers TV commercial from 2000 after Armada, so that's 2003 to 2012. G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, Nerf. And if Hasbro did it, then there's a good chance that I might have worked on it. And that's how I got into voice acting. Through a budgeting error on a G.I. Joe ad. Originally, we had union talent in it, but there wasn't enough in the budget for that, so they got paid their studio fees, their session fees, and they piled all of us into the audio booth. We didn't even slate our names. We just read for the characters. And Hasbro ended up casting me as 5 characters in that original campaign. And when they found out it was me, they started basically having me do other stuff. I was the voice of Unicron in the Armada spot. I was trying to do the Orson Welles voice, but it was too slow, so they just said make it growly and yelly, more yelly. And so it sounds nothing like Unicron, but I was voicing Unicron. I've been Optimus Prime, I've been Megatron, I've been Duke, Destro, Cobra Commander, I've been like the Cobra Bats, I've been Mr. Potato Head. around that time, producer said, you could put a reel of this together and do this on the side. And so I did. I recorded some old unused Pizza Hut commercials some scripts that I had done, and I ended up sent it to an agent, and they signed me. And the first thing I did was the PA announcements for a local high school stadium concession stand for Coca-Cola. And high school football is like huge in Texas, so right. They pay to have somebody do their concession stand announcements, which is weird to me. I was never a big sports fan. I was always last picked on the team anyway. And the first anime I ever did was an episode of Case Closed, where I was a gold digging husband who gets super murdered on a cruise ship along with some other people. And here it is.
That is amazing. And I was going to mention that is that you were in Case Closed, and that's another one that I'm like, it's so fascinating to be talking with people who have been in my periphery for my entire life, pretty much. Because Case Closed was one of the first shows that really got me into anime. In that little formative window of time, whenever I was like 12 years old, like, what is anime? I know I like Pokemon and Digimon. What's anime? And like, I went to this library club, and they were like, "Oh, hey, Case Closed," and I'm like, Adult Swim was on that was on Toonami or Adult Swim, and I was like, I like that.
Adult Swim did great things for anime because people were already like exchanging videotapes and stuff like that. Hey, here's a copy of a movie that's like really cool. And when it went on Cartoon Network, it brought it made it a bit more. It kind of made it less of a niche thing, and it brought it a little bit into the more mainstream than it was before. And I still wouldn't necessarily call it mainstream because it was still like, oh, what is this thing on Cartoon Network? This Adult Swim thing? That's weird. But people, the first time I saw Cowboy Bebop was on Adult Swim, and I thought that is amazing.
Right.
And I think that really gave anime a huge push.
Yeah, I think the first, man, it's so hard to like pinpoint what my actual first anime was. Like, obviously, if you want to consider like chronologically, Pokemon was probably the first one. But in terms of like, for lack of a better term, like weeby anime, like anime that like is not Pokemon, is not Digimon, that's not Dragon Ball Z. These stuff that and I only consider it Dragon Ball because of the fact that that leans more towards the mainstream than say a show like Oshibudo. It's like there's a clear difference between like a heavy shonen.
Oshibudo is as niche as you could get. I was so thrilled when Funny announced that they were releasing a disc copy of it because I need
to get my hands on that, by the way. I'm trying to but if I had to think about what my actual at least one of them would be Fully Cooley and Android Kikaider. Because I remember both of them, I believe both of them aired on Adult Swim at the same time, in the same time frame. And I watched both, and they were so fascinating. And Fully Cooley was just like this, I've never seen anything like it. And I was like, I was a little kid, and I was like, this is funny. I like this. And
the music is so good. Oh, the pillows.
The pillows are they are the epitome of like my childhood in terms of like, because like I remember specifically going to Walmart and looking for pillow soundtracks, knowing I wasn't gonna find them, but hoping for the best. And I'm like, because I was like, I was a kid. I was like, I don't know, maybe they're on there. And I looked and I was like, no, they're not.
There were anime shops here in Dallas and also in Orlando, Florida, where it was, oh yeah, here's your anime CD, but then, in retrospect, oh, this is one of those bootleg knockoffs we didn't know at the time.
Yeah, and then, but now you know if you go to a con and try to find an actual anime CD, you're gonna spend like 5 times what you'd spend at Walmart.
Oh yeah, it's when it's funny. My wife and I, it's like we go to Japan and then we like it so much that we go back and we save up and we save up and we save up. And then years later we go again. And I remember one time when you come back with stuff, you have to declare it on your customs card. And I wrote down, I bought you know, it's like, well, because you also save up money to spend when you go there, because it's like, yeah, I bought, you know, $80 worth of CDs, and of course they think, well, you know, you can't buy stock and you can't resell them, and the guy's like, well, how many did you buy? And I said 3. I said, they're like $30 to $40 a pop over there, man. And he's like, oh, okay, you know.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think the earliest, the weebiest anime I ever saw was a copy of a copy, again, one of those copy of a copy of a copy of Memories on VHS. And it was I worked at a mom and pop video game store before GameStop ended up like owning everybody in Orlando, Florida. And sometimes, like on break, I had a buddy who basically would bring things in and we'd watch it in the back. And then sometimes after we'd close, we'd all kind of like kick back and we'd watch stuff. And there were no subtitles. It was straight up just the movie. And it was just the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And boy, howdy, I got to voice some bits in Discotheque's Sound Cadence and Discotheque's dub of Memories just this past year.
Right.
And it's just to get those little parts in there, just to be a part of that. It's weird how it just went full circle. It was just, and it's such a good dub. Everybody in it is so good. It's funny. Stephen Fu, who voices Motoi in Oshibudo, he is in this really great segment where this guy inadvertently takes he's got a cold, so he's trying to find some painkillers. He accidentally takes a super weapon pill that turns him into a weaponized body odor destruction machine. If people get a whiff of him, like you know, 500 feet downwind, they just instantly die. And so he's following his boss's, you know, directive to you know, take this briefcase to Tokyo, and it's the craziest thing. But yeah, Steven is so good in that one part.
Man,
he's good.
Anime is wild, man. I'm so, like I love it, but I often say I hate it just for the lulz, because it's just like, why is some of this stuff a thing?
I'm glad it kept going, because we were in the middle of dubbing Oshibudo when COVID hit, and there was that long break. Yeah. You probably remember. And yeah. I thought that was the first time I'd ever gotten a main character in anything. And after 17 years of dubbing at Funimation, I finally where I was like, where I was one of the main characters. I'm like the lead character's best friend, and it was just, I loved it. I loved that show so much. It's very special to me, and I can't imagine why they casted me. Why they cast me in it. I guess they needed like a kind of dumpy Asian guy, and they just immediately thought of me, which
you did a damn good job with it, though.
I love Kumasa. He's such a good friend. He is such a good friend.
Yeah.
And he's a respectful fan.
Right.
He's not creepy. He's not stalkery, and he's genuinely a fan. He has no preconceptions about having any sort of relationship with his favorite. He just wants to support her. Right. And I think that's a cool fan. And yeah, I love that show.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a second. I have a question. We have a whole segment where I'm like, I want to dig into that, because that show, it meant a lot to me, and I really want to be able to like hash it out with you. But so I want to start so in my quest to kind of figure out where you started. Obviously, you know, I didn't quite know about the whole the actual entry point for you, but I did find that, okay, and this is a question that if you don't want to talk about this, that's totally fine. I want to ask, because I'm very curious. So in voice acting, from what I can tell, based on my limited experience with it and my limited knowledge of the industry, you know, there are times when you can be cast as something and then not be cast as something.
Yeah.
And there have been, like, for example, you were Godai in the Funimation dub of Yu Yu Hakusho, and then you were not Godai in that. Or is IMDb incorrect on that one?
IMDb is off sometimes. I could say I've never. I don't remember it. I have to say that I've never watched Yu Yu Hakusho, because the show is like really, really, really far by the time. And if I did dub anything for Yu Yu Hakusho, it was so long ago that it was probably something so small in one session where I went in and I mean, I was like just starting out then. I've gone back and oh boy, I've gone back and listened to some of my earlier stuff, and I'm thinking, it's amazing they ever put me in anything else. You know, it's yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense then, because you know, and that also is just, it's like the internet, man. Like the internet is they have this hardcore voice acting fans. I love them for their passion, but a lot of them are like, oh yeah, we're gonna edit the IMDb's of all these actors and give them roles that they didn't have. We're gonna edit the voice acting Wikipedia and give them roles that they didn't have. And it's like, for people like me, who I'm like, the source for my questions comes from these sources, and I'm like, they'll need to be accurate, man. It makes me embarrassed whenever I'm like, hey, you were a voice in Yu Yu Hakusho, and you're like, no, I wasn't. But
I mean, if maybe I was, and I just don't remember. But I was familiar with the title because the friend who brought memories into the game store I worked at was also a big fan of Yu Yu Hakusho. So I remember, gosh, there was an old magazine called Game Fan, and they would post reviews of import titles, of Japanese titles, and there was like a Yu Yu Hakusho fighting game, and I thought, wow, that looks cool. But I mean, I knew of the title, but I don't ever remember recording anything for it.
Okay, well that makes sense then. I mean, I figure it's probably best to hear it from you directly than IMDb.
I mean, maybe I was in it. Because sometimes you do little bit parts and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I think it only here. Let me look. I think it only had you as one on episode, so that might have been it. But...
it might have just been guy. One of my favorite things was we got another order in table 2. It was like just a ramen cook, and there's an audio engineer that always kind of pulls that out because he thinks it's like one of the funniest things I said like ever, and it's like, it's anything I do, whether any bit that if it's a bit or whatever, I just put everything I have into it because I like acting, I like doing it. If it's it's just fun, and so I just put it all out there. So yeah.
Oh hell, I mean that's great, because I mean I feel like if you're gonna do something like that, you want to put everything into it, because I mean I don't know, it's like voice acting, in my opinion, is probably one of the only jobs that you can truly have unadulterated fun at. I mean, you can have fun at other jobs. I'm not saying that, but it's like, it's one of those things where like voice acting, especially with like Walla, or just if you have like a really rambunctious character, you can just like expend all of your energy, and it's like you can also do the exact same thing at like, I don't know, like at a theme park, and it's like that's it. So like I equate those. It's like, okay.
I will give you this caveat. So I recorded a video game recently, and it's still under NDA, so I can't talk about it. Right. But in the audition, there was some regular volume, and then there was some gruff, kind of angry voice. And they really liked the gruff, angry voice, and they wanted that same kind of super gravelly tone for everything he said. So I was basically yelling, kind of like like this, max volume the entire time for 2 hours, and it was louder than that. But I don't want to break anybody's eardrums. It was I could not. I basically did not talk for a good 2 days to try to heal. Anti-inflammatories, taking ibuprofen and tea, not talking, and I still did not sound right for another 3 or 4 days. I mean, I was okay. I had other sessions following, but there were certain ranges that I could not hit. So I just avoided those. Luckily, the stuff that I had to record didn't have anything like that. It was all mid-range stuff. So, but yeah, it's fun until it starts becoming painful. Right.
Yeah. No, I kind of like. I mean, I'm not gonna say I know what that feels like, but the closest that I know what it feels like. So, there have been cons where I will host 7, 8 panels.
Oh gosh.
Each about 2 hours long, and by the end of it, I'm able to sound like George Takei. I can do the oh my, but I can do it, but it comes naturally because like my voice is like dead, so it's like it's very gravelly, and it's like, and it hurts really bad, and I'm like, you would think that after doing that for 2 years, I would learn, hey, maybe I shouldn't do that many panels and talk that much over the course of 3 days. And I cannot wait to do that again. So, but
I love cons. I love them.
man.
Because I got to them for years before, you know, being a guest at any of them, and it's cool being around people we're all into like the same stuff,
right.
or maybe you see something interesting that you've never seen before, and you get interested in a new thing,
right.
And it's like, you know, if you're waiting in line to, like, you know, buy a rare thing or something like that, and you can strike up a conversation with a complete stranger in front of you because you recognize their what they're cosplaying as, or their shirt, or your and it's just it's fun. It's like meeting brand new friends that you know for over the course of 3 or 4 days. You might like see them again while wandering like the dealer hall or anywhere, and it's like, hey, how's it going? And I used to go to, when I worked for Hasbro, they used to ask their vendors, like their PR company, their advertising agency, they said, hey, we'll buy your ticket if you come help out at our booths, you know. And so some people at our agency were like, mostly in the account side, all the numbers people are like, okay. And everybody in the creative department was like, oh, I'll go. And so yeah, I went. It was the greatest business trip ever because it was on the company, but I went to San Diego Comic-Con for 9 years in a row.
Wow.
And oh god, it was so much fun. And but yeah, it's, you know, we would go to the back of Hasbro's toy shop booth, and I would literally nonstop for 3 hours straight unpack boxes, fold them up, put them in the trash, wheel the cart out, come back. And it was I'm amazed I never cut myself with the box cutters the entire time.
Right.
And we would work 2 days, 3-hour shifts, and then we would get the rest of the day off, and then we got our third day off completely, and it was I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, to reference your point about meeting friends that you know, like a friend of mine, who actually I met at a con through another friend of mine, met his current partner.
Wow.
At a con, and they're still together, and it seems to be working out for them. And it's like one of those things where it's like, that's the coolest thing. It's like the decision to go to a 3-day or 4-day event has directly led to you finding someone that you're with. You know, that's as someone who's terminally single. That's great.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
Well, you know, it's cool because, I mean, that's you found somebody who
appreciates,
or whoever. Yeah, I mean, you're into the same stuff. Right. It's I mean, it's like one of those naturally happenstance of meetings that's just like, oh hey, yeah, that's a great story. We met at a con. That's cool. I mean, my wife and I, excuse me, oh gosh, I ate like literally supper right before we started, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, anyway, but yeah, we met in high school. I actually a mutual friend of ours liked her and was kind of nervous about asking her out, so I ended up basically introducing the two of them about 1.5 years before we started dating.
Right.
And because they broke up. Anyway, long story. We met in high school. We met at a con. I mean, that meeting at a con sounds way more exciting. Right.
And it's kind of like I would rather meet someone. I mean, like, I'll meet someone wherever I meet somebody. I don't have no what's the word? I don't really have any I don't want to use the word standards, but I mean, you know, I don't have any problem with saying, oh, I met someone on Tinder or on OkCupid or whatever. But it's like,
here's the thing.
I would prefer it at a con.
No matter where you meet anybody, if you meet somebody who's good to you and you're good to them, and you like each other, and it's more power to you. Right, you know,
yeah.
it's
so getting back to anime.
Yeah. See, this is dangerous because we are similar in the sense that basically we go off the rails in conversations, and the fact that two of us are doing that, it's
in time bomb. It's time bomb.
Yeah.
We're almost an hour in, and I'm like, okay, question 3.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So it's as I said before, it's fascinating to be doing this show and to be talking with people who have had like such an impact on the industry to the point where, like, I've been hearing you in the dubs since I was a kid, basically. And I as someone who has been in Case Closed, Kodacha. I believe you were in Kodacha, correct?
Kodacha, yeah, I was Onda. He was my first character, like regular character in anything.
Right.
He was the publisher.
Okay. So and also Gunslinger Girl. I think you were Marco.
I was Marco. That was that's one of the ones I go back. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
So basically, I guess the punchline to this question would be like, since those released, since like those all released in like I want to say like the late 2000s, maybe early 2010s, and a lot about the way anime is produced, the way anime is released, distributed, has changed significantly since then. So, as someone who's been in both sides of that paradigm shift, like how do you feel about like the actual shift from releasing multiple DVDs with 4 episodes each to releasing entire seasons on one disc or whatever? Like how does that feel?
Thank God for Blu-ray, because it makes it takes up a lot less space.
Right.
And there are people. Does anybody remember Suncoast Motion Picture Company, like the one place where you could get your VHS tapes of anime and your DVDs, and it was like super expensive to get those 4 episodes.
That sounds very familiar, but I can't.
It was they were like in every mall when people still went to malls, right? And it was like, here's 4 episodes for $40, and it was like, yep. Well, I guess I'm not watching that one.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like I think that's still the way it is in Japan, where like
in Japan, stuff is expensive. When Iron Man 2 had come out on Blu-ray, when we had one of our trips there, it was $99 for just the standard it was 9,900 yen for the standard Blu-ray, which was like roughly at the dollar to yen equivalent at the time, maybe like $80 for just the standard Blu-ray. No special edition or anything, just Iron Man. And stuff over there is expensive. I've noticed, though, the last time we went, stuff is not as expensive anymore because of streaming services. I think they've realized, well, we want people to buy this stuff. So I discovered a band over there the last time I was there that I'd never heard before, and I fell in love with them. And Tower Records is still over there. And it's cool because you can listen. It's like you could scan the CDs and listen to it, and they just happened to have their entire discography on sale, and like for cheap. It was like $10 an album, and thank goodness they didn't have that many albums out. And I ended up like buying their whole discography.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So in chat, a regular user Kixen is here, and he says Blu-ray and DVD anime is so much more affordable than it used to be in the US, at least.
Yes.
And I agree with that, with the exception of Aniplex. Because Aniplex is still putting out $200 DVDs and Blu-rays.
It's like I've always wanted to get I discovered Madoka like late after it had hit, because I'd heard that it was like really I'd heard about it. The whole thing was like spoiled ahead of time, and I kind of shy away from stuff that's like really really heavy and dark. I mean, if the story's good, then like if there's some hope to it, then I'll enjoy it. So then I watched it when it was streaming on Netflix, and I thought I'd really like to have a hard copy of that. And then I looked, I'm like, ooh, that is expensive. Yikes. Yeah. Madoka's like one of those that's still pretty pricey.
It's kind of like I always reference the Persona 5 anime that they made. Aniplex got that and they put it out. And look, well, let's be real. The Persona 5 anime, there's no way they could have gotten that right, because they tried to condense a 100+ hour game into 6 hours basically. And it's hard to do that when you have so much material and you got to, try to pace it right in an anime form. So it's one of those things where people were like, "Oh, I don't know if I should buy the game or buy the anime." And I'm like, "Well, look, let's be real. You could buy the game for like $30. And you're going to get 100+ hours, and you're going to get the actual story. And meanwhile, you could buy the anime, but you're going to get an incomplete story. It's going to be triple that amount, or if not, quintuple that amount. And it's one of those things where I'm like, if you really like the anime, that's one thing. But if you're just looking to experience the story of Persona 5, just buy the game. It's that easy. But then again, I'm also like I'm also a notorious broke ass bitch, and as a result, I never really. I mean, only recently have I started to have a little bit of financial wiggle room. So while I would like to collect the Monogatari series on Blu-ray, Aniplex has a single movie for $80, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm willing to do that, because even if I'm a millionaire, I have a feeling I'm gonna be a little bit penny pinching because that's what I grew up as, and it's hard to shift.
Same here. It's like I'm like, I wasn't sure. Sometimes it's like the you'll get like a complimentary copy of a thing, and I thought, in the middle of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get Oshibudo, so I just bought a copy because it's like, that's special to me.
I need to get my copy as well. But go ahead, sorry.
My train derailed. I can't remember. One thing. Here's the thing about streaming now that has made it great for anime, because there are titles that would probably never have been released on disc or been on air ever, and people would never have discovered them without streaming services. I am the biggest freaking Kimono Friends fan, and I never would have seen it. It's again, I've told the story to people about why I'm such a huge fan of it. When our last trip to Japan was in the beginning of 2017. It was right after the show had its last episode in Japan. And everywhere you went, if you went into any, not just in Akihabara, but any store, the theme song was playing.
Right.
It was that, and it was Sunny Day Song, which was from Love Live.
In all fairness, the Kimono Friends opening is a bop. It is a
it is, and so when you get back from Japan, you have like the worst jet lag. So I thought I have to watch this show and see what it's about. And it is the sweetest, most wholesome, it's like there's no fan service, which is like the kind of thing that you would expect with the whole thing. Like you would hear, Animal Girls, I bet there's like boobs and panty shots all over the place. But it is safe for children.
Right.
It's educational, and it is so positive.
Right.
It's on my phone, I've got where you could, I have different friends are good at different things. That's my wife. Different friends are good at different things as it's going across the screen, because it's people, I have friends that, where, Evangelion was like important to them. It made them realize things about their own life. People have things in, whether it's a book or a movie, how it's something very pivotal and important to them. And I am not ashamed to say that Kimono Friends basically was that for me. It was, it's, the key lesson is, be kind to others, help others, be kind to yourself.
Oh yeah.
You have value, even though you yourself do not realize it. And it's, it was around the time that, Battleborn had already started getting steamrolled by Overwatch, and it was not the success that I hoped that it would have been.
Right.
And and I was feeling kind of down about stuff like that. And it was that I love that show, and I will champion it till the day I die.
Yeah, honestly, I'm starting to wonder. Like, the last couple of episodes of this series, I've had like the one before the last one, I had a guy on who we had this whole derailment about self-worth, and now here you are, we're basically looking in the camera and telling me I have value, and I'm like, man, I'm starting to wonder if like the universe is trying to like tell me something through my guests. But but no, so that being said, so I don't really want to like, I hesitate to say that Claptrap was like your biggest role, but like I will say it was a big role for you.
I'm not going to mince words. Claptrap was the biggest thing that has ever happened to me.
Okay. So
the biggest thing that has ever happened to me.
I didn't want to insinuate anything, but I mean it is a huge role. And I guess the question I have regarding to that is, and this ties into a question that Erica asked a little earlier. I wanted to save it for whenever we got to that topic, but So first, I'll ask mine. So, like, it's not your first jump into the series. You were in Borderlands 2, I believe, right?
Oh, okay, so the very first stuff I did in Borderlands. Okay, let me see if I can get everything. Zombie Island of Dr. Ned. I was Hank Reese, the loving father who turned into a wereskag. Daughter made a macaroni hat for him.
Right.
I was Dirk Smallwood, who was like an echo of another Vault Hunter. I was Harry, who was like the Shaggy knockoff from the Scooby-Doo Shaggy knockoff in Zombie Island. I was Jethro Shed, who got killed by Zombie Steve. I was the glitched Jacob's vending machine that stopped working after you used it once.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that was my first foray into Borderlands.
Okay, so,
then, Zombie Secret Armory of General Knox. I was the voice of the Atlas Corporation. The drones that tried to kill you, the Engorge ads, and I was the ice cream soldier who sang "Ice Cream Day," which I ad-libbed. The lyrics were there, and I just ad-libbed the song.
Oh my gosh!
Which started a long history of me ad-libbing music and songs for Gearbox. So Borderlands 2, I was the fire fan guy who was about to get set on fire and started talking about worshiping the Firehawk and then worshiping the Vault Hunter. You find him in Sanctuary later on. I was the voice of the Dahl Corporation. I've been in the Borderlands. I think if you include the stuff, the DLC for Borderlands 3, I think my last count was I've been 19 voices across the Borderlands franchise.
Wow.
And Claptrap, of course, is the biggest one.
So what was it like to kind of step into the role of Claptrap? Because it's, I mean, as he, he was it's such a big staple in the series for every game pretty much. And what was it like to to step into that and do your own thing with it?
It was an honor, and then it was freaking terrifying because it is such a huge responsibility. I'd worked with Gearbox on Battleborn for 2.5 years, and when you work with people for that long, you get to know them. Right. It's like they become your friends, and I got an email saying, "Hey, they needed an audition for a thing," and my agent didn't quite. I mean, she wasn't familiar with characters and stuff like that, and I was reading. I'm like, this can't be right. And I thought, oh, maybe he's sick or something. So then I auditioned for it and didn't hear anything back for a few months. And then I got a call back on that and some changes. Here's, try it this way, do it this way. They gave me things. Here are 4 lines. We want you to get as close as possible as a test. Did that. It was 3 rounds of that basically. And it was a 7-month long between the gaps audition process, and I got a text message from a friend on the narrative team and said, "Hey, we played your auditions for the higher ups, and I just wanted you to know that." And he just sends me that text message, and I'm like, "What happened? Please, what happened?" All caps. And then he goes, "You're it." And I absolutely flipped the hell out. My wife was on a business trip she was on a museum education trip in Seattle at the time. And I called and I left her this long rambling message. And she saved that voicemail message until she switched from iPhone to Android, and it got lost. I was so sad. I was going to try to save it, but it was, yeah. It was the biggest thing that it's like somebody. I always tell people it's like somebody asking you to be the next James Bond or the next Batman or Mickey Mouse, or because Claptrap is such an iconic character, and for one reason or another, things change. To be that they entrusted me with him, right, with their little robot baby, is it is a huge honor to be considered, the person to do that, to even be thought of as we can entrust Claptrap with Jim, because we know that he loves him, and we know that he will take care of him, and I did my absolute very best, and it's, of course I sounded different because filters changed. As we discovered while doing the tutorial lines for Borderlands 2 VR, the current version of the filter was brand new and sounded slightly different. And I always wondered, what would I sound like in the original filters? Yeah. The ones that were in, I think it was like a Windows 2000, digital audio workstation, and those filters were no longer available. And so, who knows? But anyway, yeah, Claptrap. I love him. So he's my adopted child.
So they do have a filter for the character, though.
Oh yes, well it's cool because in Borderlands 3 everything is done in engine now.
Right.
It's not, there's no pre-processing now. All of our audio is processed in the game audio engine.
Okay.
So you know how like when people would data mine voice lines out of games.
Yeah.
And normally all the processing was there. From what I understand, if I understand correctly, if you were to data mine our voices out of Borderlands 3, I think it's just our
voices.
With the proper audio compression and noise reduction and stuff, and it's just our voices. Right. And then the game engine. And the reason why is because it makes the translation pipeline, if there's like copy changes or anything, then the voice actor just has to record them. You don't have to send it back to like an audio studio to process every line and cut them up and everything. It's all done in the game, and it's that's the coolest thing.
Right.
So
that sounds amazing. Yeah. So regarding that, so here's where we get to a question that it's a little bit of a downer, and I apologize in advance. But
yes,
we now know that Jack Black is taking over Claptrap. Now, the question I had, and the question Erica had for you, is: have you gotten a chance to work with him at all? Or do you think you're gonna be able to? Or do you think you're gonna get the chance?
Here's the thing: if they asked me, if they said, hey, Jack Black would like to speak with you about Claptrap, right. I would love to. I would be quite flattered that he would even think of asking. Right. You know what I mean? Claptrap is one of those characters to where on the surface he is an annoying little robot, but there is depth to him that you learn in Claptastic Voyage, and even he's a sympathetic little every role I have, I try to find something that relates to my own life or my own self, that I can kind of farm those feelings from myself and put them into the character. And with Claptrap, so for a long time voice acting, I did it on the side, and occasionally I would be in the booth with like somebody who'd been doing anime for like forever. And there are folks who've been doing this longer than I have, been doing much more prolific than I am, and are really, really good at it. And imposter syndrome is a really bad thing with me. I would always feel very tag along sometimes with people, and it's one thing that you never 100% get over. And so sometimes I think you learn about Claptrap, and he's surrounded by. Even though he himself was a vault hunter in pre-sequel, and he's surrounded by people who have incredible powers. The Sirens have amazing powers. They, in the case in Borderlands 3, he's, Mose is a much bigger giant robot. Well, why ever would she be interested in working alongside Claptrap? So, I think that he has a deep-rooted insecurity being around these heroes, that he's afraid they won't like him.
Right.
And so he talks a big game. Because he feels, I think there's a feeling in him that if I talk a big game and make myself be the hero, then maybe they will like me more.
Right.
And the sad thing is he doesn't realize that they accept him anyway. There's a line in the beginning that Lilith says, where, we know Claptrap can be a little Claptrap, but still, he's one of us.
Right. And
that line of that care, that emotion, those feelings that Lilith has for Claptrap, she cares about him in her own way, but I don't think he realizes that. And so he's just this annoying big talker because deep down inside he's terrified no one will like him. You know, it's not 100% exactly the way his inner workings were in Flaptastic Voyage, but it's a thing that I can associate with, that I can kind of pour into him and to get that insecurity out in his voice and in his delivery.
That's really interesting that you say that, because I never thought of it like that, but now that I'm starting to, now I'm like, you know, based on what little I played, I'm like, huh, you know, like I'm starting to think maybe now whenever I play 2 and 3 and play all the DLCs and stuff like that, I guarantee you, probably in the back of my mind, I'm gonna be thinking, you little insecure about you.
It's and it's a very subtle. I mean, basically taking over the role of Claptrap. There was a lot of insecurity about that because I mean, it's like, how do you fill those shoes? How do you do that? I just poured all of that anxiety into him, and it's one of those things to where in a lot of his delivery you probably wouldn't even notice, but I think it's one of those things to where in a subtle way it helps me be him. I have a weekly grocery store gig where I do radio grocery commercials basically I don't eat before those sessions because it makes me hungry, and then I don't know if maybe it's just like a whole psychosomatic thing or it's just in my head, but I have a feeling that I like to think that because I'm hungry and everything in the script sounds really tasty, that in some subtle way that comes across in my talking about what's on sale that week. So
that makes sense, because not in the exact same way, but it's kind of like how when I go to the store, I prefer to go to the store after I eat, because I don't buy as much because I'm not as hungry. And I think this in a similar way, it's like it makes sense that like if you go to the store when you're hungry, you're gonna get a bunch more stuff, whereas if you do a recording while you're hungry, you're like, okay, I can like convey the mouth wateringness of this steak or whatever.
Yeah, this week it was like there's a ham special. I'm like, ham is how much? Damn, I want some ham now. You know, it was one of those crazy specials. It was one of the ones, okay, this is a big deal, so let everybody know. And
so
it was
Oshibudo. So
yes.
So I want to take some time and talk. So I started watching that on a whim when it started airing, and I believe the first episode I watched it in the sub because it hadn't started yet, and I was like, I usually gravitate towards the sub first because I'm impatient and I don't like to wait for things. But then like I think my roommate let me borrow gave me access to his Funimation account, and don't tell anybody in the higher ups, guys. But I started watching Oshibudo and the dub, and I watched it pretty much every week as it was released. And then the hiatus happened, and it was one of those things where I was like, what do you expect me to just wait for the dub? I'm gonna just keep watching the sub. And so I finished it with the sub. But like the 5 or 6 episodes I watched of the dub, I was genuinely impressed. And when I heard that it was you, I was like, because it's like not, obviously Iribio and Mina are like OTP forever, right? Like they're fantastic, but like you had one of the more emotional arcs of the series, and just like with the Kumasa's kind of feelings. I can't remember her name, but the idol that he was
Reo.
Reo, yeah.
Reo Igarashi.
Yeah. And like, just like his whole overcoming that and like coming to terms with it. It was honestly, like you said it earlier, he is a genuine fan. He's not a creeper, he's not, he has no ill intentions whatsoever. He just wants to spend money on this person that he likes, and he wants her to like him too, and it's wholesome as shit. I love it.
Yeah, I mean he wants her to succeed.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things to where it's like the idol culture is interesting. There's not nice parts about idol culture, and there's I liked the show because it didn't, Motoi is kind of like the foil to show here's how he's not the best type of fan. He's he's the whole thing about I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like when he's thinking, well, that means that I can have her all to me, and it's like, dude, and the Aripio and Kumasa are like, dude, that's not cool. I mean,
Right.
they kind of they chide him for that because it's like that's not what a real fan does.
Right.
And I love he's such a good friend to Ripio. You know what I mean? It's like it's cool because he's Ripio's gay and he doesn't bat an eye.
Right.
You know, it's like she and it's never like a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's just
it makes sense to him because he's like,
yeah,
of course you like them, of course you like her.
Yeah, it's just, but it's because from documentaries and things, you learn that it's still the LGBTQIA culture in Japan is still kind of, it's not as, I mean, it's not the best here, right. But then it's apparently even worse for folks over there. And it's slowly, yeah. People are becoming more accepting, and it's like, and I liked Oshibudo for that because it was just Kumasa. He's like, there's no preconceptions. It's like he's Ripio's best friend. I'd like to think they're best friends, yeah. Because her friend that works at the bread company with her who falls in love with the cartoon character. Right. Anyway, it's like it's never a thing with him. It's never a thing. He's like, he's not a creeper on her in any way. She is his friend. And when she's sick, he looks out for her and her relationship with Mina. And he's like, I just wanted to let you know that Ripio is sick, and please don't hold it against her because she's your biggest fan. And it's just, I'm like, oh my God, he's the best friend ever. I love him.
Right.
It's
also like, because she is horrible at communication. They're both horrible at communication.
Oh yeah.
And so the fact that he comes in clutch, he's just like, okay, look, he's not mad at you. It's okay. It's great. I love that. And like, just, the what I loved about the show, I think is that it, there's so much Yuri anime that is in a way fetishized, and it's like, look, like, I think there's a place for certain things like that in some degree, but I feel like there's also a just as good of a place for anime where Yuri is not fetishized, where it's just purely wholesome, adorable. There is these two girls who like each other, and it's kind of like
I see what you mean. Here's the thing: is that it is a love story.
Yeah.
And it's like I remember there was some company, there were some reviewers that said they were saying, they're trying to make it not creepy by making Ripio a woman as opposed to a guy.
Right.
And I think, I mean, that's
because I agree, it would be kind of creepy
but because Ripio's her obsession is, it's in a way, it's, I guess some people could look at it, I mean, it's extreme.
Yeah,
I mean, let's call it what it is. It's extreme. But I mean, it's a fun love story.
Right.
And it's like, it's not a thing that's I don't know. It's nice that it's a love story, yeah. And it's not, it's
there's no second underlying layer.
Yeah, it's like it's not fetishized. It's a love story with two people, and anyway, it's nice that way.
Yeah,
and it's like I just want the two of them to get it. And I like how they talk about how Mina also loves Ripio, yeah. But the rules of being an idol, that idol culture that is so stifling and limiting to, the idols, it's hard for them, to be people and be, to be true to their feelings because they have to be on all the time. Yeah. And it's, I'm curious. I wish the manga was translated because,
yeah, same.
I would, because it's still going on. And there's been so much push of merchandise and stuff in Japan lately. I follow a bunch of Oshibudo stuff on Twitter. Oh, by the way, it's Oshibudo is the abbreviation of the Japanese name. Here in the US and around the world over, it's, if my favorite pop idol made it to the Budokan, I would die.
Yeah, say.
And
I should have been clearer than that, but yeah.
Yeah. And Oshibudo is just easier to say, and hashtag and stuff like that. It's so funny because like Megan and Donald, the director, we were trying to figure out when talking about it, how do we hashtag this?
Right.
If you type that in, the entire title hashtag, you've run out of like 1/3 of your Twitter post.
Right.
But I'm so hoping they continue the show.
Same,
I want them to get together. I want them to be happy. I want them, it's.
Look, there are sometimes you just need sometimes you need a show that is I'm trying to think of an alternative Yuri shoujo that is a little bit more risque. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
There's 11 billion anime out there that
there are. But sometimes you're in the mood for that, and sometimes and depending on the kind of person you are, and sometimes you're just in the mood for a wholesome ass love story where they're both cute and you hope that they succeed in their and that I want them to be together as much as you do, but let's be real, they're both terrible at communication. They're probably not going to be together, at least not till the very last page. And
I can't, the way the story is,
right.
They've had their moments,
right,
and it's more uplifting, like the whole, all right, so this was it was in May. I was watching, because I always follow I watch the subtitle ahead if it's there, so I can just see what's going on in the story, so I know when we go to record. And when the final episode aired, and it was all of the cons had been canceled, because I had only just started being invited to Claptrap, and all of our cons had been canceled. Here was my first time ever being a main character in a show, and that had been put on hiatus. I didn't know when we were going to start recording, or if we'd be picking it up at all. And we're watching that last episode, and I'm just going to be spoiling the crap out of it for everybody. And and Reo meets her old bandmate, her old group mate in they were all dressed up as deer. I can't remember the name of the rival band now. And her former bandmate was just so cold and cruel to her in the very, very fake pastiche. Oh, congratulations! I'm glad you're here. And that insecurity of, do I deserve to be here? Again, I don't know if it was just like the stress of the third month being in lockdown where we didn't go anywhere, and I was sitting here in this chair watching it on my computer, and I just broke the I almost said the F word. I was children watching the show. I don't know.
You're more than welcome to, but it's up to
I
you.
just started bawling right here on my fucking desk, and it was like, I was like, okay. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to get something to eat. I go downstairs, and my wife is like, oh my God, what's wrong? I'm like, and then it just got worse.
Right.
So it's funny. My wife is like super. She is the left brain. She's like, she's real practical and everything. And me, I am just right brained all to hell. It's like I'll see a movie, I'll see a show. If there's anything emotional in it whatsoever, I am just mush. Oh God, it's almost embarrassing. Anyway,
I totally get it, and I just want to make it very clear. I should have made it clear from the beginning. There is no language barrier to this show. You can say whatever the fuck you want. Eventually I may have to change that, because of some people would tell you, oh, it's unprofessional. I'm like, well, I'm not doing this professionally yet, so whatever. But
the first time we did a con panel, I was very careful. They slipped down. I'm like, oh, sorry, I mean this, and everybody started laughing. And then I think, oh gosh, I think it was Damian Clark. We were doing a Borderlands thing at Yomacon, and he's like, we're at a fucking con. It's okay. Just relax, man. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have to watch it during like all ages panels, because look, I'm the son of a sailor. Okay, I granted it was a little bit of a late bloomer. I started adding curse words into my vocabulary, once I had already graduated college, because I was always a prude about it. I was always like, oh, I don't want to say things that I'm going to make people mad. And I was like, fuck it, I don't care. It's a therapeutic thing. I can't afford therapy. I'm gonna just curse. Let's do it. And but no, yeah. So like I have to, because it's such interwoven into my vocabulary. I have to like watch myself during all ages panels, because I'm like,
And again, especially during the pandemic, you know, when you're fricka fracka flippity flabba gibbet bibbity boo, it all just comes spouting out. And I did a talk with a combined class of creative writing and drama students just yesterday, and I thought, don't swear in front of everybody. These are students. These are teachers. They invited you into their classroom. Be good. Watch your mouth. And I did not say a darn thing. I was squeaky clean, and it was good talking with them. That was fun. That feels good when you can, you know, you can hopefully inspire some kids to write and you know, that was good. That was a you know, yesterday was a good day. It just felt good.
I'm glad.
I was just all smiles yesterday because I'm like, the teacher wrote a very, very nice email to me afterward, and yeah, so I felt good. I was just beaming.
That's great. So, if I'm not mistaken, you are a pretty avid gamer, correct?
Yeah.
So, like, is there anything that you're like, it's on the horizon that you're like kind of excited about?
Earth Defense Force World Brothers they just announced the release date today. It's May 27th. I have been an EDF fan since the first one I played, 2017 on the 360. I would love to find like the original PS2 copy and somehow, you know, play that probably like on a PS2 emulator or something. But I've looked for it in the past in you know, on trips to Japan. Maybe I'll be lucky and find a copy. But gosh, stuff on the horizon. There's new Hitman 3 DLC that I need to finish. I need to finish Void Terrarium, which is NIS America roguelike. They released DLC in Japan along with a PS5 version, but the DLC has not come to the US yet. It's funny. For some reason, there's one game that like, I mean, clearly I'm super excited for the director's cut stuff. I'm really excited for it. And then they delayed it, and I'm going to be visiting with family, so it's like I won't be able to play it on April 8th when it comes out. And I know, like, my regular group, they're going to be doing they're going to go behind the door and do their raid, and I'm going to come back and I'll be like, so how, you know, you know, it's like I know stuff that's going on in it because Claptrap is in it. But it's like I can't wait to play. And they just announced like a whole bunch of extra like super cool stuff coming out in the update for Borderlands 3. There's I need to finish Aegis from 13th Sentinel, which I started playing on my PS4. I was a bit into it, and then the PS5 came out, and then it was like it kind of got shuttled around, and the New York expansion for the Division 2 was like on sale for like $6, and I thought, I haven't played the Division 2 in a while. Maybe I'll pick that up. And I told, you know, one of my buddies who we used to play the, you know, a long time ago. He picked it up, and oh my gosh, I can't stop playing it now. And so it's like it's Borderlands 3, Division 2, and those are like occupying all the time on my. It's like I've got other stuff to play, but it's like there is that dopamine thing of you got a cool thing, play some more and get another cool thing, and it's just eventually it's gonna play itself out where I'm just gonna be like, okay, Division 2, I did this last thing, I'm gonna put you aside probably for another year or so, and then a new thing will come out, and then like you'll be in my machine all the time. Because again, when I get back and play director's cut stuff, Borderlands 3 is gonna be in my machine. Like it's I bought a digital copy. I already had a disc copy. And because, you know, it's kind of easy now that like the daily stuff is happening, and it was on sale on a digital, because that way you could just like load it up, do your dailies, and get all that stuff done. And then if you want to play roguelike, then you can. But it's I've spent a lot of time in that game.
So what? Yeah. Okay, so hypothetically, you are only allowed to play one game for the remainder of your life, which is
do not do this. This is impossible. What? Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Oh, you want
ask your impossible question, and I will answer it as best I can.
Okay, so you are only able to play one game for the remainder of your life. Which is it?
Okay. Oh, what is the name of it? Here's my out. It is that piece of coding software for the Nintendo Switch where you can make your own games. Ha!
Oh my god, that is cheating. So you basically
if I could only play one game for the rest of my
basically
my own games and make my
dreams.
Yeah, like Dreams. It was it's oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it, and it's one of those ones that I'm gonna pick up eventually. I've done some Lua coding for smartwatch program for the Google Watch, and I've like written my own watches. I made like this one Claptrap watch where he kind of like he's the second hand, he goes around in a circle, and anyway, but I'm curious to see how that software thing, that coding thing, works on the Switch, because I don't know, it's learn coding somehow. Right. I think it's like a modification of C or something like that, or I had to do some research, and I used to do like basic programming when I was a kid, and I was always pretty proud of myself when I could do like a cool graphics thing or something, but I never got into like the really hardcore programming. And like I love games like there was a game called Carnage Heart on the PlayStation 1 where it was a military. It was like a robot kind of turn-based strategy in a sense, but the thing is, the battles happened in real time, and you would basically build 3 robots, and there was a visual programming. It was like a chip-based visual programming setup. If sight scan this angle of view for how long, how far, and then it would give like measurements. So, and then you would have like color-coded channels. Right. So, if enemies detected within 45-degree range within this, then blue, then code blue, and then later on your instructions, if blue, start this robot up, and you could make some really complex programs using this tile-based programming language, and that was a cool game. Yeah, there was a PSP version that came out, and then they added the ability to control the robots yourself, and it's like that was an option though. It's like, well, where's the fun in that? You wanna program them and send them off to do their own thing. Anyway, I digress. My biggest experience with anything like that is just making small little games in like RPG Maker, and I actually have been wanting to get back into it, but it's just I know that like there's kind of a reputation for RPG Maker. People are like they see RPG Maker. Some people see RPG Maker game and they immediately are like, oh, okay, you made it in RPG Maker. You didn't make it in a real language. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of put off by that because I'm like, well, if I'm gonna put work into something, I want it to be valued, and I feel like a lot of people don't value those kind of games anymore. But I haven't heard. Wasn't Yume Nikki a
yeah, but that was
an RPG Maker game. Yeah, but it's like that was made in RPG Maker.
Yeah, that
like the original, like way back.
Yeah, that I think Corpse Party was made in a variant of it anyway.
Like the original. Well, here's the thing: it's RPGs are. One of the major things about RPGs are their stories, and a lot of them is play mechanics and stuff like that too. But if you've got a really good story in an RPG, if the mechanics in RPG Maker are fun and serviceable for the story,
right?
Why crap on something just because it's made an RPG Maker?
That's a good point. And now watch, I'm gonna spend the next 2 weeks trying to figure out how to make this work. But I'll put you in the credits. I'll be like, Jim Foronda inspired me to make this. Direct all hate towards him. So what do you? It kicks in the chat. Mentioned this, and I gotta ask you your thoughts about the death of Mario. What do you think about how Mario is dead now?
This whole thing about this is going to be only available until this day, and we're pulling it.
Right. Artificial demand if I've never seen it.
As someone who did not get a stack of Sanrio Animal Crossing cards, yes, artificial demand.
Yeah, like it's like
I got my copy of Super Mario 3D All Stars, which I'm glad. I played oh god, Mario 100 Mario. What was the name of the I can't remember the name of it, but the free Mario game where everybody was like
35.
Is it
Mario 35? Yeah.
Yeah, and we're everybody's like running, and I never made it. I got second. The closest I got was second. But that is a crying shame because it's like, you can't even play it anymore.
Right.
You could still play Mario 3D All Stars, but I mean that was a cool freaking game, and you can't play it anymore.
Right. I tried to load it up today just to see what would happen, and it was like it allowed me to get to the selection screen, and then it pops up and it's like, this service is no longer available. Thank you for your continued interest. And I was like, but I beat it once. And that's all I really needed to beat it, because after that I was just like, okay, well, I beat it once now. What else? There's nothing really new to it. I mean, that's the kind of game that, like, even though it should have been able to keep going, I understand that it was a limited event kind of thing, because they're not going to be like Tetris 99 to just keep adding new themes and stuff. They're just going to make it one thing and that's it. Yeah. Now, 3D All Stars, on the other hand, I wanted it, and I could still buy it. It's just I can go to GameStop probably and buy it, and it's probably gonna be the same price. If I wait another 2 weeks, maybe not so much. But like, I'm sure
gonna be one of those like used. It's gonna be like 11 billion.
Yeah, and that's why it's like now is probably the best time to buy it physically anyway, because eventually it's gonna be worth a hefty penny. But one thing I just don't really know how I own a Switch. I own way too many Nintendo games. I don't know if I'm willing to support Nintendo's shady practices in this regard. I will buy the hell out of 3D World, like I did. I will buy the hell out of any other game, like the Skyward Sword HD. I just feel like with this one, I'm like, it was poorly emulated games dumped onto a cartridge that's going to cost $60 when it's like each game probably costs $20 now on their respective systems, except for 64 doesn't, but like I guarantee you could buy Galaxy for like $20 right now, and it's like,
but Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but like I don't know, like, because I think they could have done a little bit more with it to make it like, I don't know, because what I heard, it was like each of the games was emulated at a different resolution, and it was it was one of those things where it was like, you can just do this on your computer for free instead of spending $60 on a cartridge. But it's like, I mean, yeah, I guess you gotta be wary about Nintendo putting the ban hammer on you. But like, if you're not scared of that, then it's like, But I don't know. I know that's an unpopular opinion, and I'm like, I still wanted it, but it was like when it came down to it, I had to ask myself, am I willing to spend $60 on that? And I'm like, no.
Well, here's the thing: is that I mean, I still have my entire 64 collection. And my GameCube collection, and my and it's funny because like sometimes I'll find out how much a game I have is like worth now, and I'm thinking, really?
Right.
It's funny because like they're in a box in storage, and it's one of those things to where it's like, someday I'm gonna go drive over and pull that thing out and hook it up, and it's nice because I mean, to play those again on the Switch is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even if the emulation on the Switch is not 100% good, I mean, it's like it looks better than it did when it came out.
Right. And honestly, I have hopes that the whole this is only available until the 31st of March. I have hopes that is. It's probably got a lot to do with their fiscal year ending on the 31st. It's also I'm also hoping that it's because they're like, okay, we're gonna put this out on a thing as limited edition thing, and then we're gonna put out N64 on Nintendo Switch Online, and that's why it was limited, so that because they're gonna put Mario 64 on NSO.
Didn't I read somewhere that data miners actually found like headers for, because they predicted when the Super NES, they said, oh, there's Super NES headers in here for in like the system software, and then of course Super NES games came out on Nintendo Online. And then didn't they say that they found like the headers for like 64 games too?
I think so, and I think they also found, and don't quote me on this, guys, but I think they also said something about Game Boy, and that's the two major parties has been either N64 is next or Game Boy is next, because I mean and that would make sense, because honestly, like you could probably put a Game Boy would be easier, I think, to emulate than it would in N64, but even N64 is like the emulation, you can do that seamlessly on Project 64 if you want. It's one of those things where it's probably one of the easiest consoles to emulate. So it's like it makes sense that either one of those would be the next best one. But I'm kind of like, I kind of want a GameCube on there, but I have a Wii, so it's like I don't necessarily need it. So real quick, while we're talking about games, let's go ahead and take the next logical step. Anime. Do you ever find yourself watching new stuff that you're not in, or do you have?
Yeah. Oh gosh, the last show that I watched that was really good is the Wonder Egg Priority, and it's got a great cast. I tried to make it in the show, I didn't.
Right.
But that is.
In all fairness, there's not too many guys in there, so that would.
There aren't, but I mean, but it's such a good show, and it's
So a question I have: did you watch the whole sub, or are you just watching with the dub?
I watched it. I watched through it subbed,
okay.
And I'll watch the. Here's the thing: it is a hard watch.
Oh yeah,
it is. It's
rough.
It's it's a hard watch, and it's. I don't know if I'm prepared to watch it again.
Oh yeah,
I will eventually, because I just because it's such a good cast, and I'd like to hear that, but it's like it's it's like gosh, I don't know if I could watch that again.
So
it's just
the thing about Wonder Egg that and I'm glad that you watched the whole thing, because I kind of want to ask you how you feel about this, because and this is I will do my best to avoid any hardcore spoilers, but
it's let's not talk about it. Yeah, it's hard for me to even talk about. My mother died by suicide several years ago.
Okay.
And it's one of those things to where it's like I like the show, and it's
oh, that's fine. Yeah, no
I liked it. I liked the messages it had in it, but it's like I know if I start talking, it's just gonna send the whole show into just a downward spiral. I don't want to do that. So yeah, we're cool. We're cool.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, but yeah, it's a good show. There's a ton of trigger warnings for anybody who wants to watch it. It is deals with some heavy stuff.
Oh yeah,
but it is a good show.
Yeah, legit.
It's really good.
I think
it's also dubbed now, so you can watch it with it's really good English cast too.
Yeah, and I won't go into it because obviously you just asked me not to. But I will. All I'm going to say is that I loved the show until the end, and that's just because I feel like they really kind of were like, okay, we're going to pull an Evangelion ending, and we're just going to end it with a, hey, you figure out what it means. And I'm like, I wanted answers, and they didn't have them. And so that's the only thing I got to say about it. I'm hoping that there's going to be a special in the summer that I'm hoping that kind of elaborates on that. But I'm like,
on the other hand, I like it when it kind of leaves the viewer to, because there's a lot in that the viewers can interpret themselves and how it relates to them and things that they've experienced in their own life.
Right.
And I think it's such a good show.
Well, okay. So that being said, just to avoid going into that, what would you say? Because I do want to respect. I didn't mean to I don't.
No, it's I just
don't, because look, like I said earlier in the podcast, I lost a parent. Granted, not the suicide, so I don't know how that feels, thankfully. But it's like so I know I get it. I mean I don't get it, but I get it. And I don't want to do anything that you're not comfortable with. So, but I do want to ask though, what is your metaphorical GOAT anime? Like your favorite anime, the one that you think that stands above all others. Was there one in particular?
don't say.
Wait,
I was gonna say, don't say Kimono Friends. It's that is Kimono Friends is the one that means the most to me.
Yeah.
It's even more so because, well, I'll tell you the story afterwards. But I'd say one of the greatest of all time gotta be Cowboy Bebop. It really is.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
I recently just was gifted the Blu-ray on DVD on the Blu-ray on and I was like, I haven't gotten to watch it yet. I mean, I have seen the show, but I haven't seen the Blu-ray version yet, and I'm really excited to like compare it to the DVD version because I only watched it for the first time in 2018, and it was perfect timing because it was like the 20th anniversary, and it was like, and it hit me. I was like, this is I had seen like occasional episodes on Adult Swim before, but I never watched it in sequence, and then I finally watched it in sequence, and I was like, this is an amazing series. But
yeah.
But yeah, so okay, and if it sounds like I'm trying to speed things along as I am, because we're approaching 2 hours, and that's
has it been that long?
It's 140, oh my gosh, 145 so far.
Oh wow!
And like I said before, that is not there are worse problems to have with a podcast. But you know, I do want to eat, so I'm gonna kind of like put hit the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
So, have you ever heard of Chuck Klosterman's 23 Questions?
No, but I'm up for it.
Okay, so I won't be asking you all 23. I usually take one of the 23 and I ask each guest a different one to see their reaction or their answer. And typically they're questions that are like the way that they put it is I ask these questions to anyone to figure out if I can love them. So it's like kind of moral quandaries, kind of philosophical sometimes, like what if, would you rather, etc. Okay. So for whatever the reason, 2 unauthorized movies are made about your life. The first is an independently released documentary, primarily comprised of interviews with people who know you and bootleg footage from your actual life. Critics are describing the documentary as, quote, brutally honest and relentlessly fair. Meanwhile, Columbia TriStar, which I don't think we've heard that name in a while, but then again, these questions were written a while ago, has produced a big-budget biopic of your life, casting major Hollywood stars as you and all of your acquaintances. Though the movie is based on actual events, screenwriters have taken some liberties with the facts. Critics are split on the artistic merits of this fictionalized account, but audiences love it. Which film would you most be interested in seeing?
The documentary.
Any particular reason for that?
Aside from, like, you know, doing embarrassing things out of my own stupidity, nothing more like, oops, nothing mean or cruel, like, you know, so it's like, yeah, the documentary.
It seems like, honestly, I think I would probably go with that too. It seems like it would be more entertaining on a core level than it would be to watch. And I'm just using, and like, I'm not using Jack Black here as a reference to Claptrap. I'm using it because people have literally told me I look like Jack Black. To have Jack Black. Maybe not now, but I used to. I've been known. I've been compared to him. I've been compared to the guy who played PETA in the Hunger Games.
See, I can see that more. Yeah.
Or the guy who plays Sam in Game of Thrones. That probably more than any of the three. Just because the shape of my face and the beard. Yeah. I think.
So I have to confess. Yeah. I tried getting it. I could never get into Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I think it's just because it's so mean.
Yeah, and also
it's so mean. It's just like, oh my god. It's like I had to stop watching Walking Dead when people just started getting so freaking cruel to each other. I can't. Yeah. It's hard for me to watch people being cruel to other people on purpose.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. With Game of Thrones, I'm gonna let my inner judge come out. But with Game of Thrones, I would tell you should watch it, but then it ended with like horribly, and now I'm like, if you watch it, just watch everything but the final season. Just
I know. I heard. Basically, it's like everybody was like kind of disappointed in the ending. I guess because it doesn't go along with the books because the books just anyway. I thought, I'm sorry, y'all. I feel bad that your favorite show didn't turn out.
Yeah.
It's
But in their defense, though, I mean, I gotta be real. In their defense, with any show, it's hard to end something. It's hard.
Maybe they'll pull a Full Metal Brotherhood and actually pass together to like redo the last, like where the show splits off from the books and actually just like do like here are the book seasons. That would be pretty cool if they did something like that.
It would be interesting for sure, but the books will never finish because the author is too busy working with HBO. So he recently signed a 5-year deal with HBO, and I'm like, those books are never being finished.
Wow.
But the that being said, so last question, and this is a really, really hard-hitting, interesting question about your life. What is your favorite cereal?
My favorite cereal. Are we asking favorite, like, are there parameters? Is it like favorite children's cereal? Favorite cereal?
I don't think there's a thing as children's cereal. I still eat Cocoa Puffs and Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, gosh. Favorite cereal. See, this is okay. Favorites. Cereal, like if there's a cereal, like a go-to cereal that I could eat, Raisin Bran Crunch.
Oh, okay.
I like that cereal. If like a tasty kid cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, so you like shrimp tails?
That whole thing was super disturbing. That it's like, that whole thing on the internet. I actually saw that Twitter post, and I'm like,
I was like, I don't understand anything that's going on right now, but I find it hilarious. I'm just like, what is going on? Now that being said, do you pour cereal first or do you pour milk first?
Cereal first.
Good man.
Otherwise, it's gonna float on the milk.
Oh yeah, and also you never know exactly how much cereal you're gonna use. If you pour the milk first, it's like you kind of limited to how much you can do. And then lastly, what kind of milk do you?
I prefer almond milk.
Really?
Yes.
All right. The
vanilla unsweetened almond milk.
See, I all my entire life I had gone with whole milk because that's what my family had bought. And then when I moved out to Midland, Texas, which was in 2016, I switched over to 2% because I was trying to lose weight, and I was like, well, like little differences might kind of snowball, and you know. And then more recently, I decided to switch to 1%, but it's like, and I tell this story every podcast whenever we talk about milk because it's just this is my testament of almond milk. At IkiCon, did you go to IkiCon in 2019? The last one.
Yeah. That was
Yeah, that's right. I remember you being there. So I was a guest for the last 2 years or so. I say with mid quotes because it's like I'm a programming guest, so it's a little different than what you would do. It's like I don't really do autographs or anything. I just do panels, and then yeah. But I was on the Hot Onesies thing that they did for 2 years in a row, where it's basically Hot Ones, but it's like, hey, we're gonna eat hot wings and ask questions and interview you, basically. And I am a champion twice in a row. I'm proud of that. Because I found I mastered the right way to do it is to save your milk for the end. All the other people were like sipping on their milk early on. I'm like, pathetic. That's weak sauce. Like you gotta save your milk for the end because you're gonna want it, right? And if you run out, you're like, I gotta suffer, right? So I saved my milk for the end. I was not prepared though for the fact that we ran out of extra milk. So when I finished mine, I was like, I'm still suffering. I need more milk. So a friend of mine was like, here is a swig of almond milk. It is better than nothing. Drink it. I took one sip of it. I almost blew chunks because I was like, I cannot. It was like I guess my body was like the conflict between dairy and almond milk, I guess, was too much for me at the time because my stomach was already going nuts. But it was like, oh Lord, what am I about to do? What am I putting in my body? And so that's my only experience with almond milk. And
I was gonna say that is your experience with almond milk and a crap ton of super spicy whatever it was that you were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because your body's already like rebelling against that.
Right.
It's like, and it's your body's going, is this food? I think it's food, but it's yeah. So that's probably, yeah. I actually like almonds.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
when I was the German side of my family, my grandmother make like little marzipan, like little decorations and stuff for the holidays, and yeah, I love that. It's just almonds.
So no, like I mean, it made it worse that I was one of those stubborn guys, and I ate the entire wing. They only say, "Oh, you only have to take a bite." Nah, I eat the entire wing, and I was just like, I'm not one to let somebody else one up me. I know it's a character flaw, but I'm like, and then I'd be like, I'm kind of suffering, but you know what? I'm gonna stand strong and not regret this at all. So, okay. So it looks like we got somebody else in the chat. The username, that guy from the con, that guy from that con.
That guy from that con.
Yeah, right. I remember that guy from that con. Says I was in that panel. I remember all these delightful happenings. Erica, who's also watching, ran out of the room to bring you guys more milk. Yeah. So it seems like we got a bunch of people in chat who are like, we all recognize. I miss this. I miss it so much. I'm so ready for like, even if I don't get a chance to go to this year's, I'm really excited for like the end of the pandemic, which honestly I have heard through the grapevine that there's a chance that the official end could be in June, as long as we keep going with the path that we're going. So I'm hoping for the best on that one. I'm expecting more like October, but I'm like, maybe we'll have.
We'll see if variants overseas can get under control, and hopefully if the vaccines can reduce the effects of the variants the way they reduce the effects of the what is it, SARS-CoV-19, whatever the full name is.
Yeah,
SARS-CoV-2 something or other.
Yeah.
So it's here's hoping.
Right.
Here's hoping.
So we ended the podcast how it began, talking about COVID. So I want to take a moment, give you the floor to plug yourself, promote whatever you'd like. Talk to the audience in any way.
Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. If you are still listening, Erica, I guess you said Erica's still listening, and that guy from that con, and whoever is still watching, thank you for bearing with the incessant rambling of two people.
Oh yeah.
If you didn't hear about this on Twitter, then please follow me on Twitter. I'm active on Twitter a lot. I post pictures and videos of the kitten that my wife and I found on our porch in October. And I posted one this morning where she just made a weird squeaking noise on our couch. And I talk about stuff that I'm working on. Watch Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle. That is a fun show. I love it. It's this weird combination of like dark humor and wholesomeness. It's who knew that monsters could be such cinnamon rolls?
I'm so ready for season 2 if it gets announced.
I discovered completely by accident. I decided to go into a bookstore after fully masked, of course. I went into a bookstore and went to the manga section. I was looking. I wonder if there's a apparently the Sleepy Princess, Sleepy Princess. I'm a voice actor. I can talk. Sleepy Princess. Actually, the manga has been translated, and number 7. The first chapter is the last episode of this season, and then it keeps going. So I'm going to read it and find out what happens next.
Oh, yeah.
There's rumors that they're going to announce the second season. I guess the studio posted like a key image, and they said, we're going to have an announcement soon. They were announcing that they're going to have an
Right.
I hope.
Oh, yeah. I would love that. Because like that show was just, it was sickeningly sweet, and I loved it. It was wholesome as hell. And like the fact that Xia was just so... like she was so adorable, but she was frightening as hell. It was like, oh my god, the oh, hey, you're made of sheets. I'm gonna cut you up. It's like, excuse me, good sir, what are you doing? But that being said, thank you very much, Jim, for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We've been trying to like make this happen since the great winter storm of 2020 or 2021.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was like, sorry, that was bad.
Yeah. But
yeah.
that being said, I just want to, again, thank you very much for being here. We're gonna have to get you.
Thank you.
We'll get you on again at some point. Maybe next time it'll be at a con. Maybe we'll be at a con together, and we can just.
That'd be great. Yeah.
A live action version of the PixcelCast. The con says, "Thanks for always being cool when we see you, Jim. I'm Erica's BF. We'll always."
Oh, okay, all right. So, oh gosh, I gotta say, it's kind of because being in Texas, I run into them at conventions like all the time, and it's like, oh, hey guys, how's it going? It's yeah, oh, it's been, oh yeah, so yeah, hello,
and he says,
both of you.
We'll always follow your career and we'll work for you. So you got your
thank you very much.
Also, thank you that guy for following, as well as Erica. She followed earlier as well.
Erica, who is in Smite, by the way. Okay. Erica is also voice acting now. So yes.
Oh, that's see. I honestly, I'm about to move, and I'm looking to get back. I've been technically voice acting since 2010. I haven't done anything big or anything. I've just been AVA. But like, I have taken a year off because I got frustrated with it, and I'm like, whenever I move, I really want to like try to take a step back into it.
It is easy. It's easy to get frustrated. I'll leave you with this: if anybody out there wants to be a voice actor, is hiring voice actor, whether you're doing it online, this is one of the most soul crushing lines of work ever. I always tell people, and when Eric and I talked about this way back. I say voice acting is a never-ending stream of failure, punctuated by the occasional great success. And but you love it, and you keep at it. You don't make something, then you go to the next one. You might get that, you might not, but you just keep doing it, and then you get one thing, and then you could be proud of the fact that you got picked for that thing. And you'll fail a bunch more times, but you hold on to that one good thing. And you remember somebody picked you because you were the best for that,
right?
And then eventually somebody's going to pick you again. And it's if you want to get back into it, do your best to stick with it. It's tough, it's hard, it'll beat you down. But when things turn out great, it's just it makes it all worth it. It really does.
Yeah. I just realized this is and we got to do an interview with a voice actor without asking how to become a voice actor.
I'm sorry. Well, you Discord screwed up on me. An interview with a voice actor and...
Oh, sorry. I was saying we got through an interview with a voice actor without asking how to become a voice actor.
Oh, yeah. It's
a question I'm sure you get asked a lot, and I'm like, I always try not to ask it because I'm like, well, I pretty much know what you're gonna say, and I don't want to have you repeat yourself 20,000 times. So first,
get a job at an advertising agency.
Well, in any case, again, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and end the stream here. This has been Pixcelation. This has been the PixcelCast with Jim Foronda. Thank you for watching. If you are new, if you have not followed me, please consider doing so here on Twitch. You can also subscribe to me on YouTube, that's my main source of content creation. If you don't know, if you want a link to that, you can, in the chat, YouTube, Discord. You can join the Cloister of Weebs. It is a community of people who enjoy anime and other people as well. So by all means, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Discord, all that jazz. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, stay pixelated, and I'll see you then.
See ya.